What's going on, guys? My name is Ben. How are you guys doing today? What I have for you today in this video is giving you guys an overview of iOS 8. Yesterday I updated my iPod Touch here to iOS 8. Unfortunately, my iPhone 4 is officially outdated, so it will no longer support the iOS 8 update. Alright? And Apple has done some upgrades right here, and I'm going to go over those today in this video. So let's start out with the Photos app. Now, Apple has changed a little bit in the Photos app, and this is supposed to make it a little bit easier to find your photos. And then Apple changed it a little. In fact, let me just show you what they did here. And I'm going to launch my Photos app here. Excuse me for taking my iPod out, but the camera here. And let me take a quick picture. Alright, and the camera is part of this too. So I have the camera app launched right here, and I'm going to take a picture of the iPhone 4 right here, like so. And let me just take this quick photo. Alright, well, white balance is a little bit off, but oh well. Alright, so here is the camera app. Now, Apple has put in some new features in the camera app as well, and you have your automatic flash, whatever, your high dynamic range photos, as well as switching to the front-facing camera and the rear-facing camera. But you have a timer right here, and this timer is think of it as a digital camera, right? And you set your camera on the tripod, just like how I'm recording this video right now, and you got a timer right there, so that way you got some time for the whole family to get into the picture, and then boom, take a picture right there. This is basically the same thing. For instance, like, I'm going to put it right here at 3 seconds, and then I'm going to take a picture of this foam pad I have my iPod sitting in, and then I'm just going to hit it, and the flash will blink. I believe that's only if the flash was on. Let me try with it off. Oh, no. Even with the flash off, it uses the flash to indicate to the user that the timer has been activated. Alright? And I'm gonna show you guys more features right here in a little bit. As far as the user interface of the camera app, you have your normal features like panoramic shot, square, photo, video. But now Apple has added something new into iOS 8 called time-lapse. Alright? Now, time-lapse is basically where you record a video and it'll speed up the video. Kind of like if you were to, for example, if you guys edit videos, then whatever video editing software you have will have a feature where you can actually speed up your video. If the footage was like an hour long and then you don't want to make people sit through an hour long of footage, that is pretty much completely nothing. And let me just show you guys a demonstration of this. So what I'm going to be doing is, let me grab my iPhone 4 right here and just place it on top. Alright, and I'm just going to take a quick video. Alright, as you can see, this whole timer right here, is spinning around. And then I'm just going to move it around a little bit. Of course, you want to be doing this with longer footage and with the white balance not being in the way. Alright, as you can see, I'm just moving around my iPhone here. Alright, and we're going to end it right there. And now, what I'm going to do is just take a look at it. There's our video right there. And let's just play it back. course, volume should be up. So there you go. That's time-lapse video. Alright? And this is pretty neat. So that way, like, you don't have to go into your video editing software just to speed up the video if the video was that long and you feel like that was all completely nothing. Alright? And of course, you have a heart button right here so you can favorite it as well. Alright? Now I'm going to launch the Photos app. And what I'm going to be doing is launching out one of the photos that we took. Alright, and let me use this one right here. Alright, so this is a picture of the phone pad I have right here. And you got some new features right here. Now, you can want to... Here is the edit button. That wasn't there before. Alright, if you hit the edit button, you've got a new set of features right here. So, you push this button right here, you can pretty much, you know, have a certain setting, such as like if you want to adjust the light, and all you have to do is scrub it back and forth. So you can make it lighter or make it darker, yada yada yada. Alright, I'm going to cancel that. Discard changes. And you can change the color as well, and you know, B and W. And then over here you can change like the look of your photo. So you know, give it like a transparent look. It reminds me of the Motorola Razr. I can't remember what the exact model was, but there was a feature where if you were to take a picture with that phone, you can like change the way you want the photo to look. So instead of having the normal look, you can change it where the colors are inverted, and then, you know, with some special effects on there. This is kind of like that, but better. Alright, and I'm going to push this one right here, and this one changes the rotation of the photo. So, you know, as you can see, and then of course you can save it right there if you wanted to. Alright, and there you go, that's your photo. And then if you don't like it, you can always hit edit and then revert back to the original. Alright, and there's a new feature in the Photos app where you can actually search for an album if you need it to. Alright, and the search button would be right here, as you can see at the top right here. So with that search button, you're able to search through your album, so that way you can find like certain pictures in a certain album that you know is in there, and you can also get suggestions to based on your search. And then of course you can do all the editing stuff that I just showed you, as well as adjusting it. So that's pretty much what Apple did to the photos. Now, one thing I don't like is that when you're in the album section, they used to have a folder that's called Camera Roll, and Camera Roll showed all the pictures that you had or took with this particular device. Now they changed that to recently added, and I can't tell, you know, which photo goes to the iCloud or which one hasn't. And then if I wanted to go into the to see all my other pictures, I have to go to this tab right here called Photos, and you guys know how that's like. You basically got like this whole long list right here that you have to go through, and that's one thing that I don't like about iOS 8 is I have to go through all that. So I'm not too crazy about that, to be honest. Alright, so that's it for the Photos part of iOS 8. Now let's talk about the Messages app right here. Alright, now I won't be able to do any demonstrations because I don't use the Messages app to text anybody. I don't have anyone to text anyway. But Apple has put some new features in there, and it's basically where one of the features is to add your voice to the conversation. So you can basically record your voice, and then you can send it to the other person. They'll receive it, and then you guys can interact a lot more. And of course you can also send a video quickly if that's just a quick video, and then you can actually have group messages and be in charge of it, which is pretty cool. And of course, you can share your location if you wanted to. Other than that, there's not much to the Messages app for iOS, although you could send multiple videos and photos at the same time. Alright, next is the design. As you can see, as far as the design is concerned, there's not much to it. I mean, if you guys take a look at iOS 8 right here, which my iPod just locked itself after 1 minute, there's not much of a design difference, except when you're, using the applications. Alright, maybe some of Apple's icons changed a little bit. Other than that, there's really not much to it. Such as like, when you're double clicking the home button to get to your multitasking, right? This is what Apple means by the design. They change it up a little bit so you can have like notifications pop up right here from your Messages app or your FaceTime app. Other than that, there's really not much to it. Except like they just give you some more options when you're doing your emails, checking them, and you got like multiple options to pick from on what to do with your emails. Now, this is one feature that I think is useful, and in fact, I feel like this is more like autocorrect, but also guess what you're trying to say. So I'm going to launch the Notes app right here, and this is called QuickType. QuickType is basically where when you're typing out words, it'll try to predict the next word for you. So I'm gonna type out "this is a test." See, as you can see, you got choices right here to pick from. So I hit this. Oh, I didn't notice that before. You can scroll up and down if you don't want to see that. Alright, and I'm going to type out the word test so you take a look. See? Test right there. So that's one thing I like about iOS 8 so far, is you have the quick type feature, so that way it'll predict what you're saying. Now, of course, because of how I feel with autocorrect, it's not going to be the best, because it may predict a word that you don't like, and next thing you know, it'll automatically change it, which is one thing that I never liked about the autocorrect. Alright, and you also have the option to put in third-party keyboards on there, kind of like Android. I don't know if there are any developers that created their own keyboards yet. I haven't tried it or tried to find it yet. I've only used it for a day so far, but other than that, QuickType will become very useful. Now I'm going to talk about a feature called family sharing, and this is where you can share your family. So let's say if there's one credit card holder to make iTunes purchases, right? Or purchases from Apple servers, or whether it's music, movies, TVs, books, or whatever it may be with an Apple ID. This is done so that way you don't have to share an Apple ID or passwords for certain apps, in case you don't want to buy something and that somebody already bought it, so might as well just get it from them. This is supposed to eliminate that process, which is one credit card holder. Other than that, family sharing, that's good. If you don't want your kids to make more purchases, if they have their own Apple ID, and you can actually track down where your family members are at. I don't know how that's gonna work. For those of you guys that are interested in that setting, especially when you have a family, go ahead and take a look into that. Next was iCloud Drive, and iCloud Drive, it's basically where you're able to edit documents on one device, and then it'll sync up with all your other devices with the changes already made. And of course, Apple claims that storing is supposed to be simple, and then you can start your work in one app and then finish it in another one. So let's say if I start from my iPod and then I want to finish it on my Mac, if I had a Mac, then that's done, and I can do that. Alright, and now I'm going to talk about some new features here, and this is with this app right here, Health. Alright, this is basically used so that way to help keep track of your records. You know, if you're on a diet or something, or you're trying to like lose weight, or you want to exercise, you know, that's pretty much it. This is mainly for fitness. I don't know how often I'll be using this because I don't work out too often, but hey, you know, if you guys want to work out and you feel like this is the way to go, and go ahead. Actually, let me launch this app for you. So this is your user interface right here: dashboard, health data, sources, and then of course you can check your stats depending on how you want to check it. Alright, now let's talk about continuity. Now, if you're a Windows user, there's really not much that you can do about this because, you know, since Apple created both iOS and OS X, it's meant for both of those operating systems to collaborate together. However, they have put in some features that I think is pretty cool, if you ask me. First, if you have an iPhone, right? You're able to answer calls on not just the iPhone. You can do it from your iPad, you can do it from your Mac, which I think is pretty cool. Alright? And handoff lets you pick up where you left off. So, you know, if you're in the middle of a call, you want to do it on another device, you have that option to do that. Alright? And of course, you can answer calls, you can send text messages from any of your devices, and if you don't have Wi-Fi, then your iPad or Mac can connect to your iPhone's hotspot if you have the hotspot enabled. So that, I think, is pretty cool, if you ask me. I wish I had a Mac to try it out, but unfortunately I don't. But one day I would like to try it out. Alright, next, Spotlight Search. So Spotlight Search, you guys know, this is Spotlight Search. Alright, and you can actually do more with it. So you can actually search like addresses, if you have any addresses saved in the Maps application. I don't use it too often. I use Google Maps more. And you can also search for like certain emails. You know, you can basically do a lot of stuff. It's not just you know, searching for something on your device. You can also search the internet, search the App Store, iBook Store, iTunes Store. Spotlight Search has become more advanced into what you want to do. Alright? And of course, you know, I don't know if I had it set right here. I'm not even connected to Wi-Fi right now. Actually, let me just do that really quick. Please note, you know, you see this thing right here? Yeah, it's changed compared to iOS 7. I mean, here it is compared to iOS 7. As you can see, this has changed in design. So let me try searching Minecraft in the... Yeah, I don't think I have Spotlight Search enabled, so... because I did that to save battery life, or I just don't use it, I think. So why bother having it enabled? I just didn't bother with it at all. Other than that, that's pretty much it for iOS 8. Now, what are some things that I've noticed other than all these other features that Apple has announced? Well, you see some of the apps right here called iBooks, Podcasts, and Tips. Now, before I put iOS 8 onto this iPod, I had to delete some of my apps because 4.7 gigabytes of storage was required in order to go through the installation or go through the update. Well, unfortunately, Podcasts and iBooks were the two apps that I had to delete. And then all of a sudden, I see those come back. And plus, you know, since I deleted those, I feel like, no big deal because I don't use those apps anymore. If I want to delete it, I can't delete it, as you can see it right there. So, whether that's a good or a bad thing, that depends on your preference. For me, I don't know. because I don't even use the newsstand app, first of all, and I don't use Game Center, and I'm definitely not going to use Health. So why should I have these two other apps? I used to use them, don't get me wrong, but now I don't use them. And if the only time I would use the podcast app is if I wanted to watch Apple's keynotes. That's pretty much it. Now there's a new app called Tips. Tips, the way I see it so far, as you can see it right here, this is like a manual for your device. Because it gives you like information on how to do something, and then of course if you click on this button right here, you have like other stuff here. So you can learn like how to do each of these things. Other than that, that's all it is for iOS 8. How do I feel about iOS 8 so far after a day of using it? Well, let me give you guys some background information before I start heading on about this. First of all, the way I've seen Apple updates being done was not only did they put new features, but they seem to reduce the performance of the device as the updates go on. Now, let's say, for instance, the iPhone 5, right? iPhone 5, when that was released, that came preloaded with iOS 6. I believe. iOS 6 or iOS 5, I can't remember. I think it was iOS 6. And if you upgraded that to iOS 7, performance is still going to be fine, but there's going to be something messed up a little bit. Maybe like a battery drain faster. And now, if that's going to iOS 8, performance is, you notice performance being reduced a little bit. Not drastically, but just a little bit. Because my iPod Touch here, for example, I'm on iOS 8 right now. Let's say if I were to power off my device, right? Power it off, and then I'm going to turn it back on. Once I turn it back on, Apple logo disappears, and then when I try to push the home button, the screen doesn't light up. I have to wait like maybe between 3 to 5 seconds in order to get my unlock screen. I'm not sure if I can do it here on camera, but it takes like a few seconds for me to get my screen back up. So, after seeing that, I know that performance has been reduced a little bit. However, with me learning about computers a little bit more lately, I think the reason for that is because whenever I do major updates like these for my devices, I just hit the update button. That's it. I don't even wipe it out and put the update on there like I do with computers. Computers, usually if you want the best performance, it's best to do a clean install your drivers, do all your updates, and then you're good to go. Mobile devices, for what I do, all I do is hit the update button. That's it. I don't even care, because I want my stuff saved on there. After learning more about computers, I'm really not sure how or why this is the case, because I wiped out the iPhone 3G before, and after that thing booted up a lot faster. It used to be where I had to wait 2 minutes for that thing to boot up. Now, I had to wait like at least, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds or something for that thing to boot up. So, really, for what I've been thinking like all these years, maybe this is why it's slower. But, however, that's not always the case after I think about it, because maybe, I don't know. It could also be due to the hardware, but the software is part of it too, because I didn't wipe it out and do a clean install. I shouldn't be saying that, because then that's saying I'm reinstalling the operating system, which I'm not doing. All I'm doing is upgrading it. So that could be the cause of my iPod, decreasing in performance a little bit. I mean, as you see, I'm doing Spotlight Search. There was a little bit of lag right there. So, see, there's lag right there, or maybe I'm not pushing it. See, so whenever iOS 9 comes out, and if this is upgradable to iOS 9, I think I'm gonna start seeing some trouble right there. Although I don't know if this thing will even go to iOS 9. the iPod Touch 4th generation only went from iOS 4 to iOS 6 and couldn't even go to iOS 7. Not like the iPhone 4. iPhone 4 went from iOS 4 all the way up to iOS 7, and that was pretty much it. So this is my take on iOS 8 and how I feel about it, as well as showing you guys the features of it from my point of view. What do you guys think about iOS 8 so far? And for those of you guys who have iOS 8, what device are you running it from? Running it on, and how's your performance doing? I'd like to see what you guys say in the comments below. Then thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have a good day now. Take care.